How's it going, guys? It's your boy Mike from Seattle, and right now I'm here with Dion from Portugal. Dion, how's it going, man?
Howdy, it's going great. Somehow I've managed not to be sunburned on this trip.
I've noticed. I've been waiting to razz you about it a little bit, and I haven't seen a pink Dion picture yet. Anyways, topic for the video today is what to do after you get to 10 conventional mortgages. How do you keep scaling after that point? That question was asked to me by somebody who follows me on Instagram. His name is Danny. So Danny, thanks for the prompt. We're going to start with Dion, who's actually not at that 10 mortgage limit yet. But Dion, what will happen when you get to that limit and you want to keep growing if you do?
So the thing that I really like about one rental at a time, Michael Zuber's concept that he shares with everybody is he has a large portfolio. He has reached financial freedom. He retired, I think, at 48. He's had, I think maybe 45 because he's had like 5 years of retirement now. He's like, yeah. He doesn't talk about his big numbers. He doesn't talk about his 187 units. He doesn't talk about those things. He talks about getting to 4. Focus on getting to 4. So the person, if they're asking the question, if they're at 9 rentals with 9 mortgages or 20 rentals with 9 mortgages, whatever their numbers are, that's the time to start thinking, how do I do this after I get to 10? But if the person is getting their first or working on their 5th, it's not quite the time to worry about that. I ran into this barrier early on, and I was very uneducated. This was kind of before I really started to take it serious and go through thousands of hours of podcasts and audiobooks and all of the things that it takes to educate ourselves on this industry, find people who've done it and study from them. Between 2010, 2017 or so, lenders had, pretty much a bloody nose from the 2008 housing crash. Bad lending really set up a lot of the problems that we ran into. Adjustable rate mortgages, ninja loans, people borrowing 105% to wrap closing costs into a loan to buy a house that was more than they should, expecting to be able to refinance when rates went up and home values dropped, so they couldn't. So we really had this massive crash. So lenders restricted people to 4 mortgages in your name. And when I was not educated, what I did to solve the problem is I got to 4, and then I picked my largest interest rate, smallest loan. So it hit both the debt avalanche and the debt snowball, and I focused and paid it off. So I got to 4 mortgages, paid one off, and then I added another. So I was going to rinse and repeat that. And then I really started listening to Zuber about how to grow and scale. They changed the loan limit to 10. And so with 16 rental units right now, I have 7 properties, 6 have mortgages. So in 4 mortgages, I would hit this 10. I'm not really at the point to be concerned with how I would grow, but I know that I would educate myself as I get closer. And I think at this point, with seller financing options, with private money options, I would probably add more properties before I would add more mortgages. Or I might buy all cash at this point because the cash flow piles up so fast. So that's why I think when we're starting out, while it is something to have in the back of your mind that at some point this could be the limit, or limits could drop to 4 again, as we have these banking issues going on now, have a strategy for growing after you hit that limit. But really, unless the person is at like their 9th mortgage, it isn't something I would really focus on. I would figure out how to get cash flowing rentals for me with whatever lending options make the most sense for each deal that you look at.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, you definitely want to keep your eye on the present. If this isn't an immediate problem for you, it may just be a bunch of wasted mental energy to even think about it and consider it. That being said, I think not only do you not need to worry about it if you get to 9 mortgages, but I really don't think you need to worry about it, period. Let me explain why. If you've gotten to 4, if you've done 4 regular financed deals and you've managed to get these properties secured and you've learned your systems in terms of whether or not you're self-managing or using a property manager, you've learned how to get your repairs done, find tenants, place tenants, things are starting to, not only have they been stabilized, you might have even optimized that first or second property. If you're still using conventional financing, you are making a mistake. Now, this might not have been the case a couple of years ago when you could get conventional rates at 3 and 4%. That's like the cheapest money that anyone's ever heard of. But if rates are at 5, 6, and 7%, and you aren't heavily pushing into seller financing and creative financing offers and options, you're making a giant mistake. I would not encourage anybody to keep looking for conventional mortgages right now. Absolutely not. Not when there is just this ridiculous amount of opportunity with people who already have mortgages on their properties that are in the 2 and the 3 and the 4% range on the interest rates. You need to go learn how to do subject to. You need to learn how to do an assumable loan. You need to learn how to do creative financing for people who own their properties outright and get a seller finance deal where the terms are negotiable and everything's just made up. I think when you're brand new, if you're a brand new investor and you're watching this video, the conventional route's not a bad idea because it's structured, it's easy, it's consistent. You can run your numbers, you can learn it. There's no tricks. It's going to be harder for you to screw it up and mess it up. And so but if you've got to 4, you have a little experience. Now's where you need to push yourself out of your comfort zone and be like, okay, what do I need to learn about seller financing? How does it work? I have a few videos on my channel where I talk about it. Dion just released a video a few days ago where he talked about his seller financing letter that he sends out. Every single offer you make should be made with 2 things. You should have your traditional, conventional offer and your backup seller finance offer in the same offer from your agent. In the old school way, slid across the table. Nowadays, slid across the DMs or whatever, however they do it now, messaged electronically. But I'd be making I've got a $100,000 house. My conventional financing offer is 75 grand. My seller financing offer is 100 grand. Oh, well, why are you able to pay more for seller financing instead of conventional financing? Well, let me explain. It's because I can get a better interest rate from you. We can negotiate lower money down. We could negotiate a longer amortization period. We can negotiate a balloon payoff. I mean, there's so many more options that we could do this way. And the same thing with subject to. You know, I can make an offer, a very low ball offer, but I want to ask the question, do you already have an existing mortgage? Oh, you do? Perfect. Do you have equity on the property? Oh, you don't because you purchased in the last 2 years. And so you're negative equity on the property. Well, tell you what if I took over your beautiful loan with a 2% interest rate and just paid you $15,000 in cash to just walk away from it? Because you're going to have to cut a check to sell it right now. You as the seller will lose money selling this property because you're negative equity because real estate fees and things come into play. So what if I just gave you 10 grand and assumed your mortgage right now? I mean, there's so many different options out there that if you're still focusing on regular financing and you're past mortgage 4 or 5, I think you're making a huge mistake. Now, if mortgages drop back down to 2 and 3% rates, by all means, have at it. Go crazy, have at it. Dion, I just talked for like 3 minutes straight. Is there anything you want to add on that?
Well, I want to add 2 things. One, I'm really debating making an offer on a property that I found on the MLS yesterday, and it gets me the return I want with a conventional loan at 7% interest. So if the deal makes sense and you don't have 10 yet, I'm so lazy, I'm still using that format. And if somebody's focusing too early on what do I do after I get to 10 mortgages in my own name, first, this is not the strategy that I would recommend, but if you are married, you can get up to 20 by putting 1 in each person's name, and you each have a limit of 10.
That's true.
Or what I would more value people concerning themselves with, how do you scale past the first or second mortgage in your name when you make less than $60,000 a year? How do you get the banks to lend you money when you don't have the salary to support 3 or 4 mortgages, which is the video that we just made today on my channel?
Everybody should look out for that video. I will put the link in the description below for that other video. Thanks for being here, guys, and we'll see you next time.